I'm LA Mayor candidate Paulie Amori, back for our final edition of Getting Candid with the candidates over coffee. Now, it was my intention to bring you interviews with all of the candidates, but for various reasons, not all of them were available to sit down with me. Yuval Kramer was unavailable due to scheduling conflicts. Yuval is a math educator and activist who believes in splitting Los Angeles into two cities, North Los Angeles and West Los Angeles, each with their own mayor. Diane Pinky Harmon declined our request for an interview. She is a retired educator and actor whose top three priorities are education, homelessness, and infrastructure. Dennis Richter also declined our request for an interview. Dennis is a factory worker and member of the Socialist Party. His number one priority is creating more jobs for the city of Los Angeles. And incumbent mayor Eric Garcetti, whom we reached out to on many occasions, did not respond to our requests. There is, however, one more candidate I'd like you to meet, someone that I've in fact become quite close with over the last several months. Mr. Amori, welcome. Thank you. I brought you some coffee for our interview. Well, come on in. I'd love to show you the place. Mr. Amori, thank you for having me today in your beautiful home. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. So, who is Paulie Amori? You know, I like to think of myself as really a symbol or an embodiment of love. Yours is certainly an unconventional campaign. What do you say to people who think this might be a joke? No, a joke is a horse walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Why the long face?" Very clever. But really, should voters take you seriously? I understand that I am a flamboyant character and that I might not work for everyone. But I ask voters to take a look at my ideas, my policies, and tell me you don't take those seriously. They are quite authentic, quite heartfelt, and my mission to bring love into politics is very genuine. Your style, which I love by the way, might be considered by some to be a little flashy. What statement are you trying to make? Well, first of all, right back at you. Thank you for noticing. Secondly, the way I dress, the way I comport myself, it's all about freedom of expression. It's essentially an invitation for people to show up in whatever way is most authentic to them. For me, this is how love shows up, and this is how I've chosen to express it. Why is love so important to you? You know, I believe that love is our greatest value, that it brings the best out of people. Rather than dividing us, it brings people together. And I believe that it's going to take bringing people together to solve the issues that we face as a city and as a country and as the world. So what does voting for love mean? Voting for love is how we embody love in politics. By voting for love, you are saying, I see the value and the power of voting, that I want to educate myself about the candidates, about the measures on the ballot. Perhaps it means I want to be a part of my neighborhood council. I want to be a city council or mayor, perhaps. Voting for love means that you want to be a part of creating solutions. Beautiful, I love that answer. But can you really create solutions from love? What better emotion is there to create solutions from? If we use love as the core value, then we are focused on the people, our constituents, rather than ourselves. And if we're making decisions that affect the well-being for the most people, then aren't we making the best decisions for our city? Okay, so what do you say to people who say, hey, Amori, you don't really have the experience to be mayor? Well, look, I may not have the political experience, but I have a great deal of experience in leading teams, in managing people, and inspiring people to be their best selves. I also know that when I set my mind to something, nothing gets in my way. I am fully prepared to be mayor of Los Angeles. The career politicians don't seem to be getting it done. Maybe it's time for something new. Maybe it's time for some politics. Okay, so let's talk about the issues. Homelessness, for instance. Yes, my number one platform issue. So why is homelessness so important to you? And what are your ideas for solutions? I've been so heartbroken by the plight of the homeless on our streets in Los Angeles. And when you go out into the city, it's everywhere now. You can't avoid it. We have the worst chronic homeless problem in the country. And I just don't understand how we as a city can allow people to live like this. I also truly believe that love is the best way to answer this problem. We need to take homelessness away from being this giant, obscure idea into making it personal, to making it about Daryl, about Lester, about Holly, rather than about homelessness, which seems too vast an issue to tackle. I am a housing first advocate, which means that I believe in giving the homeless homes, no strings attached. What other issues are you passionate about? Well, we have a terrible housing shortage in Los Angeles. If we don't have affordable housing for everyone who needs it in Los Angeles, if we don't have enough supply, then the demand goes up and suddenly only the people with money can end up in homes. So addressing that by any means necessary, including disruptive technologies like 3D printing, I think are essential. Traffic. We have terrible traffic congestion in LA. It's one of our hallmarks. I don't think it should be. I want to be one of the first cities that pushes for automated car technology. Then we'll be able to reduce the number of parking structures, the garages, which can also lead to more building areas for the homeless for lower income. Also overhauling our public transportation. We also really need to do something about our infrastructure. We have potholes on all the streets, and nobody seems to be doing anything about making our streets safer for people. And then there's crime. Crime is up nearly 50% in our city. I believe that's because we have an issue with equality in the city. When people don't live in a city that's equitable, then we see more crime. So when we address some of these other issues that are fundamental, then we will shift this as well. Then there's the film and television industry in Los Angeles. This is the industry that made our city great, and yet they're fleeing our city in droves because we have not created an environment that is hospitable. We have to tell the film industry, we love you, and we want you here in Los Angeles. So if elected, what would you do on your first day in office? It's very important to set the tone. And I intend to bring all of the City Hall employees together and have a conference and sit down with them and explain to them my philosophy and how I want to run the city and how I want to run City Hall. I want them to understand that I am going to be a different type of mayor and that my expectations are going to be that they are showing up and making the citizens of our city and our city the number one priority. For people who are interested in hearing more about your campaign, where can they find more information? They can go to our website, which is voteforlove.com. That's the number 4. Check out my campaign, my ideas, my policies. And of course, check out our video content, not only this series in which we interview the candidates about how they're going to change LA, but also the politics series in which I get out onto the streets and talk to voters about their city and local politics. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you. The pleasure has been all mine. And look, whoever voters vote for on March 7th, whether it's us or one of the other lovely candidates, I hope they will love their vote and vote for love. Thanks for having me.